Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to CJTV. Today I have a very special person with me, Patrick from Ferrum Network. Patrick, thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for inviting me.
Ladies and gents, I promised you a video on tokenomics, but rather than doing a video myself, I invited one of the biggest industry experts on this particular subject. Patrick, would you please tell us a little bit about yourself and your professional background?
Yeah, for sure, CJ. I before the crypto world, I worked 20 years as a police officer. As a matter of fact, in the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. I was in the cybercrime and digital forensics. So this is where my technological background comes from. I was also a university professor on cybercrime investigations and digital forensics, also with cybercrime law. And I have two masters, one in cryptography and one in cybercrime law. I'm a crypto enthusiast, a very serious investor as well, and I'm currently a senior advisor with Ferrum Network, where Ferrum Network is a project incubator for people who don't know, operating on multiple blockchains. And I design the metrics for all the projects under Ferrum and all their partners as well. So I work quite extensively with token metrics.
I was told that you do at least about 6 token metrics for projects a week. Is that so?
Yes, yes, I'm quite in demand for that, and I love it. And every single one of those, they're unique, right? They're all customized for the project themselves, so that's what makes it fun.
Now, Patrick, I have so many questions for you in regards to tokenomics. I believe this is a subject where a lot of people kind of goes over their head. They see the numbers and they don't know exactly what to look for. So I'll ask questions. Some of them may be very basic, but I would just like to get your take on it. So let's start off with this. Can you please explain what a market cap is? What is the difference between a market cap, a TGE, a hard cap? Why it's so important, especially in private sales?
Yes, that's a very good question, actually, and we get that one a lot. It is very important for private sales because the market cap, let's start with the market cap. The market cap is the total value of the token circulating supply at a particular time in the project history. Obviously, when you see it in token metrics, that market cap is based on the amount of tokens that will be circulating at TGE, the token generation event, so when it becomes publicly available, and based on the public price. So, what you want to see is the lowest market cap as possible, because this will enable the project to increase in terms of value much quicker than if the market cap is very high. The hard cap is the total amount of money that was raised in pre-sale from the project itself. So let's say a project raised $2 million out of pre-sale. Well, the hard cap will be $2 million at that moment in the token metrics. Again, you want to have this as low as possible as well. The reason behind that is that the higher the amount of money on the hard cap itself, well, that means there's a lot more people that invested money in the pre-sale, and that will bring less people available for public round purchase. Yeah, exactly. So exactly kills the demand. So you want as low as possible market cap and as low as possible hard cap. So those are the two things that are very important, because pre-sales don't make the price higher, only the public round does.
What sort of range are you looking at when you want to invest in a private sale? Is it under $1 million? What sort of range?
I personally, when I design metrics, I try to make it sub 500K, but it depends on the project, right? Because some projects are just bigger, right? Some projects are just require a lot more resources in order to bring the MVP, and that's correct. That's acceptable. But I really try to make it as low as possible for the investors. Every time I design metrics, CJ, the first thing in my mind is the investors, because they're the one that are going to send their hard-earned money to the project. So they have to see the advantage and the benefit for them to do so. So definitely the lowest possible, and sub 500K for me is what I really try to do. If I can get it even lower than 300K, makes everybody happy.
We recently invested in a project, and the market cap was about 200K. And we told a few people about it, and they were like, we're gonna skip it. And I was like, how can you skip this? And this is what I mean by a majority of people don't really look at these numbers.
Exactly.
Next question. Would you agree that there is a psychological factor behind the token price? For example, people are more prone to buying a token priced at 1 cent rather than $1. And if so, would it not be better for projects to structure their math in such a way to accommodate this psychological factor?
You know what? It's hard. It's hard not to agree with what you just said, CJ. I mean, with the avenue of meme coins everywhere, we see a lot of. I mean, if you go on Uniswap today, I mean, 9 out of 10 coins on the top 10 pairs are meme coins. Why? Because people are investing in this because they see it so low and they see the potential to grow. But in fact, reality is that it doesn't really change anything. Because what's important is the market cap of the project itself, right? So you could have, let's say, a project with 1 million token valued at $1. It's $1 million market cap. You could have the same type of project with 1 billion token, with the token value at $0.001, and it's still $1 million market cap. So the uptrend is basically the same. However, I agree that there's a psychological factor to it. Now, I attribute this, I think, to lack of knowledge from most investors in regards to what really makes it go higher, because in the end, it really doesn't matter. Now, with what you said, should the project work their metrics with that psychological factor in mind? I will tell you yes, and we are starting, even me as terms of metrics, to not go to the extreme of what meme coins do, which is like out of this world, but trying to make it a lower value. So people, basically the psychological factor comes from, oh, I missed the train because now it's at $1.50 and it started at 10 cents. So I missed the train. But it's hard to say the same thing when it started at 0.000001 and now it's at 0.00003, which is the same height, the same size increase, but you don't see it because it's too low to determine it. So that's the issue.
I have a perfect example. Some of my new friends that are just getting into crypto ask me, what should I buy? And I say, buy EVN. And they say, why would I buy EVN? It's $500 when I can buy XRP at $1. And I'm like, oh, Lord, where do I start? Where do I start? I can buy 500 coins. Like, why would I buy one coin? And this is why I'm doing this particular video.
Go with utility. That is the most important thing. I mean, go with utility. This is what will survive. All those meme coins. I mean, yes, you have this Doge one, the one out of how many hundreds and thousands. Yeah.
I hate Elon for that.
Well, anyways, I'm not going to comment on my opinion of this, but I'm telling you, go with utility. This is what survives bad markets. This is what survives bad markets. That's it.
So there's some coins that haven't pumped yet, like Nash. I've been holding that forever. It has strong utility, but while everything pumped, it's almost like a stable coin. Would you still say that, yes, if it has great utility, just keep it?
Well, it's hard to say that. I don't know Nash myself. I don't know all the coins. There's so many. But what I'm telling you is if I have the choice between a meme and a utility coin, I'm sorry, I'm going with utility because meme is basically going to the casino. All right. You can win big. You can lose big very fast too.
Okay. That's fantastic. Next question. What are your top rules for tokenomics?
Well, my top rule, the first thing, first of all, you have to understand that token metrics or tokenomics, I call them metrics, they're at the very early stage of a project, right? They're almost before the roadmap is established because you want to plan ahead all the different steps in a project itself. So the first thing I need to understand when I create metrics, I need to understand what is the token going to be used for. Is it just a value token? I don't like value tokens. I want a utility behind the token, a subscription model, a tier model, a token that will provide governance token, for example, a staking token, a token that will bring passive income. Those are all kind of utilities that can be embedded within the token utility itself. And that's one of the first thing I ask project founders: show me what the utility of this token will be.
Yeah.
Why would people hold on that coin? Why would they hold it? Is it only for value? Then all they're doing is they're almost saying to people, when you made your money, dump it. That's what it means. But if you have a token if you have a token utility, then people will hold on your token beyond the value. So that's the first rule. Another big rule is when you design metrics, you want to have a project behind it, a good technology, right? Something that will bring it to the next level. That's very important as well. The vesting is also very important in the token metrics. We're gonna, I might talk about it a bit more later if you have questions in regards to that, but vesting is extremely important. You have the low market cap. We've already talked about that. That is something that I drive, and those are the top rules of the tokenomics of what I'm aiming for. And finally, I always advise the project founder, you want to raise as little money as possible to bring your project to an MVP, to a minimum viable product. So you don't want to raise $20 million if you only need one. You're just killing your own project by doing so. Yes, you're amassing money. Yes, it's easy to bring money when it's in a bull market or something like this. But who's going to buy your token afterwards? That's the issue. So the least possible, and it all combines to what I said earlier, least possible market cap, least possible art cap. Those are the things that are very important in token metrics.
I just wanted to add, for me personally, when I see a project, first page that I go to is the tokenomics page. That's before I even know what the project is about, because that is the foundation of the project. And unless the maths behind the token stacks up correctly, down the line, it will reflect on the token price. And you will see most tokens just carry on diving over months, over years. So best tokenomics that I've ever seen are, for example, on Evolution Finance. That just keeps going up regardless of...
Yes, we could talk about that. I was implicated very early with Evolution Finance. Actually, I was on the call with the founders when they launched the token, and it is a very, very good example. So it's a great project. And I want to add something to what you just said, CJ. And you've been around, this. A lot of investors, they don't even care about the tech. They don't even care about the white paper. The first thing they do is they dive to the token metrics. That's all they do. They just look at the token metrics. They say, okay, when am I going to get my investment back? In 3 months, 4 months? The private sale, exactly. And then, they're satisfied with what they see. Okay, I'm going to invest. They have no clue whatsoever what the project is about, which I think is a deficiency in some investors because of that. You wanna look a bit further than that sometimes.
Something else I wanted to add, and this is something that Ben said. He said, unless 100% of the token is unlocked, it's still a 1x. In other words, if you, I don't know how much you agree with this, but let's say you get your 10% at of your tokens at the token generation event, and the price has gone up 20x. Ben says, unless you get the full unlock, it doesn't count. What do you think in regards to that?
Well, there's two methods of thinking about that. Right now, I've seen projects where they unlock 100% of the token, and it can go well, it can go bad. Evolution is a bit an exception because the metrics have been designed and there is a passive income integrated within the metrics. So, but it's something that most projects don't have. So if you don't have passive income, you don't have proper utility on the token, what happens is people just see it as value. Then if they get 100, they're going to dump them because that's all they need to do with them. There's no other usage. So that's the issue with that.
And also the fact that they are deflationary, I think.
Yes, exactly. Just give me a pause 1 sec, okay?
Sure.
Sorry.
That's all right. Ladies and gents, this right here is the cream of the crop in terms of tokenomics and private sale information. you see me covering all sorts of projects every now and then, and you think, why is CJ covering these projects? Now, usually I just do overviews. However, really and truly, the first thing you should be looking at is private sale info. And I think after this particular interview, when it comes to the future projects, I'll be also discussing token metrics as well. However, then the length of the videos will be half an hour rather than 5 or 10 minutes. Please carry on, Patrick. You were saying.
No, it's good. It's good. That's what I wanted to say. Evolution is kind of aside from the bunch when it talks about that. So I understand what Ben is saying, because I know 100% was released upon release, but they have such tremendous utility to their token. I mean, you cannot compare with the other ones where they don't have utility behind the token. It's just a value. So it's not, it depends on the project to be able to determine which one would be best.
And the deflationary touch to it is fantastic. I mean,
exactly. This is something that is worth looking at. The deflationary is something really big right now, and it's playing very well in favor of projects that actually had the vision to go down that path.
Oh yeah. Next question. Please explain the importance of vesting, the dynamic between seed, strategic, public, and especially team tokens. What should an investor consider and calculate?
Okay. Vesting is extremely important. And what you need to understand, or what you need to look for as a pre-sale investor is your invested round. So usually there's several rounds. By example, you could have the seed round, the strategic round, the private round, the public round. Those are the standard rounds, but those are just names. It's semantics. It can be called whatever. It doesn't matter. What's important to know is that there are some rounds that are cheaper in price than others. And what's important to know about the vesting is that your round should never have a longer vesting than the round that is cheaper than yours. I'll explain. If you invest in the private round, and there's a strategic and a seed round as well, you want the totality of your tokens to be received before the strategic or the seed round. That's very important because they paid less than you did. Yes, they probably invested way before you, but they will get more tokens for the same amount of money invested than you would in the private round. So the first thing to really understand is your vesting should always be faster than the other rounds before you. And evidently, the rounds after you should get a faster vesting than your own round. So the public round, for instance, should get a faster vesting than the private round. That's the first thing you need to care for. The second thing, you need to verify the price differences between the round. Sometimes it's exaggerated. And I tell the project founders, you can't go with that. So by example, if you have a seed round at $0.002, very, very low, and the public price is at 10 cents, you're talking a 50x already for the seed investors.
Ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Just at the launch. So what do you think if you're take the place of a seed investor in that particular project? What are you going to do with your?
I'm out.
Exactly. I mean, you want my tokens? Take them. I make $50 out of every single dollar I invested. So what does that mean for public purchaser or private sale, maybe at 8 cents? It means that, you know what, the price may even go lower than your round, even if you were a pre-sale, because there's so much difference. So you need to look at this. Usually you want to go in project that has a 4 to a 6x difference between the seed and the public. That's good. That's not bad. That's the limit of acceptable. It's reasonable because don't forget, the seed may have invested their money for 3, 4, 5 months sometimes before you did. So that money was locked for them. They could not do anything. Exactly. It compensates that. And talking about the vesting periods, there's 2 more things I want to say. The first thing is don't invest in projects, I shouldn't say don't invest, but carefully invest in projects that have super long period of vesting. I've seen projects that go up to 4 years of vesting.
I saw one that went up to 5 years. I was like, are you dizzy?
What is this?
What is wrong with you? 5 years is what, like 2-3 bull season? It's like what? In crypto.
It's an eternity. It's a life. It's more than a lifetime. 6 months, I call it a lifetime in crypto. Yeah. So imagine if you go 4 or 5 years. It's crazy. It's just too much. Yeah. You know how many times you could roll that money in 5 years? You could roll that money across 20 different projects and become a millionaire before the person may make maybe 50,000. So you got to take that into consideration. The last thing is look at the team categories and other categories in the token metrics. You have team, you have advisors, you have operations, marketing, reserve, all those type of rewards, ecosystem rewards.
Can I just jump in?
Yeah, go ahead.
When it comes to the marketing budget, like to me, when I see a super huge amount of tokens allocated to marketing, how do I know that those tokens are being used for marketing? So that makes me suspicious. It's like, okay, 30% of the tokens will go to marketing, or they will go into your pocket. So that always just rubs me the wrong way.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you the truth on that. It's very difficult from an investor to determine what usage is going to be. So it has to go with, and that's something that that is a white flag if it's done well, or red flag if it's done wrong. It's about transparency, and it's about communication from the project founders to the community. If they have a marketing plan and it's visible, I mean, marketing should be visible, right? An investor should be able to know if there's money spent for influencers, for example, for a Facebook campaign, for a Twitter campaign, whatever. It should be visible. It's marketing. Yeah. So when you don't see anything and they're dumping those marketing tokens on Uniswap or so forth, there's an issue. There's something wrong there. Unfortunately, you will only find out way after the token was released.
Yes.
So that's the issue with it. So it goes with the professionalism of the team, and this is a feeling that you get as an investor. I mean, which products inspire trust and which not so much.
Yeah, a few points I would like to highlight is when I see that the team tokens are vested for about 4 years, I think that's a good sign. No?
Oh yeah, the team. Yeah, the team. Great. I thought the investors vesting, but yeah, the team is good because it shows seriousness. It shows commitment. Exactly. Yes, definitely.
But furthermore, just in simple terms, what Patrick was saying is, so you have the seed round, the strategic round, and then you have the private round. So if you pay the lesser price, then your vesting should be longer than the next tier. That's what he was trying to say. Furthermore, there was also an example where the project saw that they were raising good money, and they decided that the next round is going to, they added another 10x to the next round because they wanted to raise more money. And then we were like, hold on, like that just looks so bad. It looks like a money grab now.
Cash grab, yes, definitely. Yeah. That's really wrong. You want to stay away from that as well. And I don't like, it can happen, but I don't like projects that change the rules
halfway.
Halfway. No, that's not acceptable, because when you invest, you have a contract. You have a contract with that project. I give you money because I believe in your project and I want you to make it happen. But you can't change the rules. If you buy a car at the car dealer and you ask for a black car and you get there and they want to give you a white car, what are you going to do? You're going to say, "Oh, it's okay." No, you paid for a black car. You want the black car. It's the same thing.
I find that a lot of projects started changing their vesting now. For example, I'm not going to name the project, but really. A few of them changed the vesting. Yes. For example, instead of tokens, you're just going to get the returns in USDT. We're going to sell them for you. And then when you get there, you're like, how do I know what price you actually sold for? Or there was another project they said where I was supposed to be getting daily tokens. They said, you know what, we're going to freeze it for a year. And in a year, you're going to get the rest of the tokens. And I'm like, that was not part of the plan.
That's bad.
In the contract, they will put a clause that says subject to change in the future.
Well, then the investor, CJ, how many projects are out there? I mean, you're there, you see them. There's like 40, 50 projects a day almost, if not 100 a week. So choose them wisely. And if people start to not choose those projects that have those clauses, and maybe it will change their mentality and the way they're doing things.
Yeah, I find that projects have been so spoiled rotten right now. They are increasingly demanding. In fact, even after you've established an agreement with them, they still change the rules. Rotten, spoiled, rotten. This is that's what I think.
Anyways, I don't know. I know it is, because I've seen a lot of those projects. But I assure you, at Ferrum Network, we're protecting the investors 100%.
There's
And
few projects
they're
out
not
there.
coming to modify anything without going over us, and that doesn't happen.
Good to know.
Yes.
Right. Next question, and I think that this is very important as well. What
Mhm.
percentage are you happy to get at the TGE, token generation event? Would you, as an investor, usually sell your first batch to get your initial investment back as soon as possible? What is your approach to this?
You're putting me under the light here.
Yeah. I know
Well,
it's not a one size fits all, but just to get your
yes, exactly. I think you just said the proper word. It depends on the project, right? Every project is different, because some projects, when I invest into projects, I invest in some projects for the long term. I invest in some projects because of the tech or because of the way I see things. But the moment you invest and the moment of the TGE is two different dates, right? Sometimes there's a long period of time between the two. It could be months, and you have more information to evaluate the investment that you made. And that is what I'm telling to the team members or the founders of project is, whatever you do before the public round comes up, don't forget that the pre-sale investors are watching what you're doing. And if they believe in your professionalism and your seriousness and your commitment and everything that you've done correctly, there would be a lot less dumping that if you're not, right? So this is something I take into account as well. Of course, like any good investor, and I think it's a good way of doing things, I want to recoup my initial investment as fast as possible, but not in the first 5 minutes. That's not what I do. I will basically split it over a period of time, because I've had experiences where you dump it too fast and then the project triples or goes 10x, but the other way around as well, right? I should have dumped it that I didn't, and then it went to shit. So it really depends on how you see things. But it really, most important factor to me is, where is the project going? And I'm not talking price wise. I'm talking about the tech and how they're doing things. Are they serious? And if they are, then I don't mind staying vested for a long time with them. I don't mind at all. And I don't mind not getting my initial back, because I know that this initial will create multiple access for me in the near future.
if they deliver, basically. And
yes,
your attitude towards cliffs, just for people that aren't into private sales, a cliff is basically when you invest, it says a 3-month cliff and then 10% at TGE and 10% monthly. What that means is that for after the token generation event, for the first 3 months, you aren't getting anything. And I just wanted to get your perspective on cliffs, because a lot of projects, because of the way market turned red, are starting to implement cliffs.
Yeah. Well, cliffs are derived from the traditional market investing, right? Where people would invest in a company share and then they would have a lock period where they can't touch. This is very traditional market, not so seen in crypto until lately. Personally, I don't like cliffs. I think cliff is a way of project to hide behind a period of time, or gives them a cushion of time to be able to produce the results that they probably promised in the past. Investors are entitled to receive a percentage. I'm not saying like give them 80% of the token within 2 months. That's not at all. But I think they're entitled to have a small percentage, calculate it or count it as interest, count it as, and imagine a project that has a token utility, right? The token has a utility. You're a big time investor, but you're not getting any for 3 months. You can't even participate in the project's community because you don't have no tokens. It's ridiculous, right? So you want to be able to get tokens. I'll give an example. You have a project that is membership. There's tiers and there's membership in the project. So depending on the amount of tokens you have, you're on a different tier level or membership level. If you don't get any for 3 months, you could be the biggest investor that helped this project get to what it is now, and you can't even participate in anything. Where's the logic in here? They're your biggest fan, and you're blocking them. So no, I don't like cliffs at all.
I just wish to bring one example. Once again, I will not name the project. However, the tech and everything seemed really solid. However, the tokenomics were just shit. Like I could tell that they had no clue what they were doing in terms of tokenomics. I set them up with an advisor. I will not name the advisor. You probably know him. X21, well, like one of the best as well. And he told them what I told them and a lot more. But with them, they wanted to have big VCs, and the VCs said, they said, look, it's going to be a 6 months cliff and then a distribution. And I was like, what? Who in their right mind would invest into a project with a 6 months cliff, and then the distribution was like over 2 years? So I would be freezing my money for 6 months, and then I will be getting bits and pieces of it over the next 2 years. That was a slow bleed. I was like, I'm sorry, the project is good, but the tokenomics have completely annihilated any logical sense to invest in it. And so that's what the advisor said as well. It's like, CJ, never hook me up with a project like that again.
But CJ, you know how those projects are getting away with it? It's because right now, well, I can't say right now, maybe the past week, the market's been bleeding a lot. But I mean, right before that, right? Money was easy to come by. You would invest 1,000 in something and you would get like 20,000 back like that. Yeah. So money was almost free. So people would invest in those projects. They would say, you know what, whatever. I'm going to put 5K in there because they just made that 5K like that. But try today with the market conditions of today. Those projects are not getting a penny, and not from me anyways.
Same here. I've also found that out because I'm in quite a lot of private sale groups, and I find people have become a lot more picky. Before it was like, hey, what's the project? Oh, never mind. Yeah, I'll chuck 1,000 in there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, when's the vesting? I don't know. They just take 1,000, man. When it comes back, you're like, oh, okay, that's just easy money.
What's the maximum allocation? 10K? Okay, there you go. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
I've even heard that VCs, that was the attitude of VCs. It's like, what's the project about? Yeah, give me your address. I'll send you money. And
Exactly.
Really, VCs do that? They were like, yeah.
Yeah, but now it's changed. And now those projects are feeling bad metrics today.
Oh, yeah. Good. I think that will filter out the shit projects from the actual good ones.
Right.
Now, Patrick, what are some red flags that immediately stick out to you and you're like, whoa?
Okay. Red flags from a pre-sales perspective. Okay. We're not talking past the token generation. So from a pre-sales perspective, if I'm a pre-sale investor, the things I look for, and maybe my police background comes into play here. Okay. Anonymous project founders. I understand that in some countries, it could be, they could have legal issues if they're founders and everything. I understand that. But you know what? Find a founder that is not within your country. Put him as the founder, as the front page of your company, and be in the team anyways. So you need to identify accountability. Okay. I'm sorry, but we are in a world, in the crypto world, that there's so many scams across every corner, everywhere, rug pulls, you name it. I mean, you've seen it all. We've all been scammed. I've been scammed. You've been scammed, CJ. Everybody has been scammed. And we're talking experienced people. I mean, CJ is a super experienced. Exactly. So imagine if experienced people, experts in their field, get scammed. Imagine the poor person that's just showing up. He's going to get eaten alive. So you want to protect against that. And one of the ways is to have founders that are actually visible. That's the first thing. Second thing, greedy projects. I don't like projects that raise money everywhere. That have raised like $1 billion. I mean, why? The project doesn't require that. You have like an NFT project that raises $10 million. Why do you need to raise $10 million for that project? I mean, I'm talking general. Maybe an NFT project does require that amount of money. I would need to look at it, but I'm saying that make it, in the same trend of what you're making, right? So if you're actually releasing a project that requires $2 million, don't raise 10. That's not the point. Bad metrics, we've been talking about token metrics. Bad token metrics is a red flag for me. It talks about the experience, the seriousness, and the expertise behind this project, which is not good. They're so important. You want them done well. Another thing that is not really something tangible, but a feeling. we've all had feelings. Okay. When I was a cop and I was going to a call, sometimes I had a bad feeling. And you know what? I learned to listen to that feeling. And the same thing happens when we invest. When you see a project and you're like, something weird here. I never heard this project before. There's 20,000 people in the Telegram channel. It's weird.
Oh, yeah, about that. Yeah.
You get in you get in the Telegram. There's 20,000 people and not a single people talk. That's weird.
Bots.
You go on the website and then you look at the source code of the website and it's a copy and paste of another project that you saw two months ago. Weird. So those are all things that make you feel, I'm not saying they're scams, but when I have that feeling, I'm sorry, but there's so many projects out there. I'm not going to risk. I'm going to go with something that I feel good about. Lack of professional approach. Bad website, brief white paper, ambiguous metrics.
Spelling
mistakes everywhere. Okay, that can happen. I mean, maybe their English is not their first language. English is not my first language, so I probably make mistakes sometimes, and that's fine. But there's a difference between language barrier and just like unprofessional ethics, I would say. Okay. Lack of communication transparency. We talked about that earlier. Lack of communication is a big red flag for me. You want to communicate to your community. Your community is what will bring your project alive. It's the free marketing is there. Is everything that you need is the community, right? A restaurant that doesn't take care of his customer will not stay a restaurant very long. Same thing with the projects. Take care of your community, communicate, be transparent. If your project is under an audit, say it. Don't say soon, and nobody knows nothing. Communicate, very important. Empty partnerships. We've all seen those announcements, right? They love to do announcements.
Amazon, yeah.
they love to do, and the bigger name, the better, right? Oh, we have a partnership with Amazon. Then you look into it, it's because they listed something on Amazon website. I don't know. Come on, you got to have, you have to look at the partnership announcement. Sometimes it's beneficial for both projects to just announce an empty partnership. I call it a ghost partnership.
If it's too good to be true, usually.
Yes, both logos are there. Both projects are happy because they have a partnership. But when you look at it, what is the partnership about? Nobody knows. They can't tell you anything. They don't know, or they say, "Oh, it's going to be released. The details are going to be released." They're never released. So that's something that's a red flag as well for me when there's partnerships that don't have anything in the back. Ease of getting into the pre-sale. If you're a pre-sale investor and it's too easy to get into a project, right? I mean, everywhere you go, I mean, CJ, you're in many pre-sale channels. I'm also in many as well. When I see a project pop in 4, 5, 6, 7 channels that I am in, I start questioning like, okay, is there really scarcity here? Is it really difficult to get in here, or just everybody can get in that? Like everybody and their mom and their neighbor can get in that project. If that's the case, who's going to be left to buy the token when it's released? Right? So that's something that needs to be taken care of and think of. So that's a red flag for me. No tech, no token utility. That's another problem. We talked about that.
Oh, we just have a token, yeah.
Yeah, and also one last thing that I like. I know it's really rare. Unfortunately, it's uncommon, but I'm at Ferrum and we use it in all of our launches. Anti-bot releases. So anti-bot tactics when the project release. So the community doesn't get dumped on by bots. That is something I look for as well. It's not really a red flag per se, but let's say it's a green flag when they have. Okay. So that's what I would say on that.
Also, what I'd like to mention is I found this with a couple of projects where they sell their private rounds to VCs. So when this reaches the market, the VCs have all the private round tokens and they'll just dump on the community. So as soon as I see that happen, that also tells me that the project is not experienced, because once again, there was a discussion between Ben and Lester, and those are OG experienced guys. And they said, if I have a choice between top VCs or having a great community, I will choose having a great community every single time. So when a project just sells their rounds, private rounds to VCs, that tells me that they are freshies. What do you think?
Well, VCs have a value add as well. We can't just discard them. Okay, they do bring some value to a project, but exclusively, I would not agree with that. I think that you could have some VCs, and a community is the most important. I mean, I say that all the time. Community is number one and should be number one. But VC can bring some value as well as prominence. As you know, there are some VC that are very prominent, and when you declare a partnership with them or an investment from the specific VC, then it can help the project or investors decide whether or not they're going to put their money in that project. So I think that they have their space there, but definitely not exclusive.
Oh yeah, actually, certain people say, okay, let's see which VCs have invested in this particular project because they have a really good track record. So
yes, maybe they just got lucky too. We don't know.
There is that. What are some key concepts or regularities you like to implement in the projects that you do tokenomics for?
Well, I like to maximize the ROI for my investors, for the pre-sale investors that I represent, the firm community, for example, or any other, because I don't, I also advise on metrics for other projects as well. But I always try to maximize the ROI for the investors, so the return of on investment. And so that is done by designing good metrics, right? And ensuring that some safeguards are implemented across with the team. And I'm very clear with them. I tell them those are the barriers that I have, and if they want to go over that barrier, they need to explain me why. Sometimes it's explainable, sometimes it's not, and they realize that it's not going to work. And sometimes they just say, "Okay, we're not going to use your metric." They go on with their own metrics, and I'm not going to say how it ends up, but most of the time it's not that good. Okay. Second thing is token utility. I demand a token utility. This is very important.
There's because no if you want about it.
Sorry, yeah, no. If you want good organic growth on your price, you need to have a token utility. If it's just a value, go in the traditional markets. Don't come in the crypto world. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So you want to have something that people need to hold on to. If there's no reason to hold, then just the value and dump it. It's a meme coin to me. So don't try to push that onto a community. At Ferrum, we protect our community, and any project I believe should protect our community. And that's one way of protection, is to ensure that this token will have an organic growth, normal organic growth. Have a clear roadmap, with good communication, right? And also an achievable roadmap. Sometimes you see like the roadmap, whoa, it's amazing. The roadmap is crazy, super amazing. All those things. We're going to go to Disneyland and then we're going to take over the world. But you know what? What's the feasibility of this? It's not possible, or it's not going to happen. So you have to look at that as well. And I tell them, have a clear, reasonable roadmap that you can actually achieve. We live at 500 miles an hour in the crypto world. We don't like delays. And and there's so many delays, right? Soon it's coming, but all the time. Exactly. So I'm telling them, go with achievable results in your roadmap. Don't promise the moon, and then you're going to create FUD in your community, and people are going to be unhappy. Make it achievable, and you'll see that people are gonna like this, and they're going to stay, and they will stay around. And finally, what I tell them is, don't be afraid to get the good people at the right place. Good advisors, right? Advisors are not what they used to be. I remember in 1718, advisors were people that would come in and would say, "Oh, you should do that like that," and they just talk. No. Have advisors with their hands dirty in there. Have web designers, experts, advisors. Have people like I'm doing token metrics. I'm not just advising. I'm making them. I'm creating them, right? So have coders, developers, advisors that will actually help you with your token or your project itself. All of that. So you want to have the right expertise. So don't be afraid to hire the proper human resources to bring your project to the next level.
Okay, next question. If a project has already launched with crappy tokenomics, can you still fix it?
It's difficult because I think we talked about that a bit earlier. Not the you see, when you invest as a pre-sale investors, you're kind of bind yourself in a contract, right? You invest under certain guidance, certain metrics, certain rules, and for a project to change those rules afterwards because they realize that it's not going to help their token increase and organic growth of the price, for example, it becomes difficult because then you need to ensure that your pre-sale investors are in agreement with it. Good projects, I mean. We've done this in the past. It's been done. But what the primary concern is you need to make the modification to the advantage of the pre-sale investors. For example, having let's say a strategic round was originally 1 year vesting, and now you say, okay, let's make it 8 months vesting. So you're changing the metrics. But you need to take into account that the private round was 8 months vesting. Now the private round investors might say, hey, whoa, I paid more than them and they're getting the same tokens as me at the same time.
Domino.
So you'll need exactly domino effect. So you'll need to also adjust the private round lower vesting and so forth to make sure that everybody is pleased. So yes, it is possible to fix metrics, but to a certain extent. Ideally, you want them good to go in the first place.
Yeah. Can I also just squeeze in this question about airdrops?
Yes.
For example, when there is airdrop that is way too generous, it kind of kills the demand in the market and kind of works against the project. Yes, you kind of build a community. It's like a double-edged sword. But on the other hand, you also kill the demand. Do you have any thoughts that you wish to share on that subject?
Yes. I understand the importance of having a community and a happy community. But sometimes by giving too much, it's like you're giving nothing, because then you're not making them more happy because the value doesn't increase and people don't see the investment as much anyways, because there's so many circulating supply, right? That's coming in all the time. So what you want to do, I prefer to have staking, for example, where you actually need to lock your token and get a percentage afterwards. That's a good thing of doing things. And airdrops can take many forms. It doesn't need to be tokens. It could be airdrop an NFT, or something like this. It could be something else as well. If you want to reward your community, you can do so by other means. You could even have passive income set, a bit like we were talking about evolution earlier. That's how they do it. They have passive income. It has nothing to do with airdropping tokens. They're not. So those are the kind of things that you want to look at to differentiate from having too much tokens being dumped. Then it kind of negates the fact that you invested to get the token in the first place. And it's the same problem with those mining projects. I'm not talking about Bitcoin, but I'm talking about those projects where you can mine tokens at the same time as you can pre-sell invest to get the same tokens. It defeats the purpose a bit.
Just quickly highlighting evolution. Not only do you have passive income, you also have the deflationary burning built into it, but you also have 100% of the tokens unlocked. I mean, the guy who came up with that, I call him the wizard. Right.
Actually, you know that this. Unfortunately, I wasn't there at the early stage where they designed this, but I know that that there's a big part of Ferrum implicated. Actually, it's a triangle, but that team is very solid. I mean, I love that team. I'm deeply invested in there. By the way.
Same here. I am so in fact I bought more yesterday, so
yeah, I do too every time. We're talking about it now, I feel the urge to go buy. So please.
It's absurd. That's why when my friend asked me, it's like, what would you invest in? And I'm like, buy Evolution Finance and just hold it. Like some of them bought at $80 and they were like, oh my God, CJ, everything else is popping. I'm like, just wait. You need to be patient. You went to like 120 and they sold. And I was like, why did you sell? And then it went to 800 and oh, well, that's how you learn, I guess.
Yes.
Right. Can you give us some examples of projects, and you don't have to name them, where you fixed the numbers and what effect it had on the token performance?
Well, it's hard to say because when we fixed it, first of all, I only fixed projects before public offering. I'll give an example. So it's hard for me to say what effect it would have had if I didn't fix it. I think it would have had an adverse effect, but it's hard to come up with real numbers. But I can tell you something. By example, there was a project that they did their pre-sale, some pre-sale of some investors back in November. And the project actually got released like 6 months after that. And in November, what they did is they raised an ETH, which is a problem in itself. So when they raised an ETH in Ethereum in November, ETH was maybe $800, I think, or maybe $1,200. I'm not sure the number exactly by heart, but they were much cheaper than when they released, which was approximately $4,000 per Ethereum.
So 2017, oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. So exactly the big problems of 2017. So basically what I had to move in and tell the project founders, listen, we need to change this into a stable coin. I cannot calculate the amount of tokens that are going to be attributed to your pre-sale investors because every day it changes, right? So you will need to define. So what we did is we reached out to all investors, brought them into a room and told them, here are the options. Choose what you want. So they could select which round they wanted to be in. It could be a mix of round. We gave them an incentive of more money value than they would have gotten if we would give their ETH back and so forth. We had to negotiate. So we did manage to fix this. We did manage to release, and we did manage to make everybody 100% happy. That's impossible, CJ. You know that. But most of them were happy, and I think we managed to fix this because the alternative would have been horrible. I mean, you can't. How do you play with that? So that was an issue that was fixed by changing the metrics. There are other examples, which was reducing the percentage of tokens at release to engage the community more and make it an organic growth, shorter vesting period, so forth. All of this, always, all the changes, CJ, very important, are always in the interest of the investors, always, never in the interest of the team. Well, it is in the interest of the team in the end, but the perception needs to be towards the investors.
Happy investors equals happy team. Most of the time, anyway.
It's true. Less fun is better.
I just like to add something to what I said previously, that if the token maths can either work towards the price appreciation of the token or against it. For example, there are coins out there with an ever expanding supply that constantly dilutes the price. And the way I see it in my mind is the inflow of money going into that coin needs to be greater than the ever expanding supply for it to maintain its price or for it to appreciate. So that to me always is like kind of puts me, how do I say, makes me cautious.
Yes.
Whereas a deflationary supply, or at least a limited supply of a token, is way better. If you want to add anything to this, Patrick.
Yes, I think deflationary is something that was overlooked by a lot of projects. I think a lot of projects are now looking into a deflationary method, and they're trying to integrate it into their token if possible, because sometimes it's very difficult, right? You can't do it, especially if it's already released. It's more difficult, not impossible, but more difficult. But I definitely agree with the deflationary system. I think it's very powerful because as you bring more people on board, the value of the token also increases because of the scarcity as it grows less and less daily. So definitely this is something that I favor in terms of token utility. That is a great token utility, by the way.
Rather than having an ever-expanding supply, more and more tokens dump on the market every day, and the investors are trying to put more money in to sustain the token price.
Yeah, that's not good. This is counterintuitive, actually. This is actually, when you have more tokens, it's like the mint function, right? And so many scams happen with the mint function because people would just mint a large amount of tokens and the price would just like, boom, go down to zero. So no, not good.
That is one thing. I have new friends that send me tokens. They're like, "Oh, look at this, look at that," and I'm like, "But have you seen the supply? Like 50% of the tokens are still to hit the market, and the market cap is already high." And they just look at me like that, like, "What did he just say?" But yeah.
But CJ, you got to understand. I mean, you're an expert in the field. All of your friends are noobs. That's how it is.
I'd say in the real world, I don't tell anyone about crypto because I told them before, and they're just going there reckless. So I expected everyone to be just like me, where I spent 2 weeks not eating, not sleeping, and just studying. And I've actually learned my own mistakes, as you said, been scammed, lost money, made money, you name it, right?
Right.
So in the real world, as far as I'm concerned, if they ask me what to buy, 1 or 2 close friends, I say EVN. Everyone else, I just say, I don't know.
Watch my videos.
Yeah, I don't want to be involved, because then the token goes up. They're like, oh, yeah, man. Token goes down. I start getting phone calls.
It's your fault. It's your fault.
I don't want none of that shit. So
You're right.
Concerned, do your own research. Do your own study. I got a few more questions, Patrick. Sorry, holding you hostage, but
no,
I'm going to extract all the information I can from you because I think your knowledge will greatly benefit the crypto community.
It's appreciated.
Right. So has there been a time where you thought, great project, but the tokenomics are shit, uninvestable? You tried to advise the team, but they thought they knew better.
Yes, unfortunately, this does happen, token metrics are related to the market conditions, all right, and they can evolve, right? They need to evolve. If you look at 2017, 2019 token metrics, you would try to apply them today, and you'd be like, "What is this?" You can't do that today. Yeah. You can't raise $50 million and expect the token to go even 1x. It's going to go 0, minus 0x, minus 2x, whatever. So yes, I have unfortunately advised projects, and I told them, listen, this is the best way to do things. Sometimes they take part of it. Sometimes they take all of it. Most of the time they say, okay, Patrick, you're the token metrics magician. That's all he called me. We'll go with that. And it's fine. It's perfect. Everybody's happy. And we've been doing pretty good at Ferrum. I mean, if you look at the various projects we release, they're always pretty good. We got 80x, we got 70x and so forth. So, thanks. But however, it's not only metrics, right? There's market conditions. There's a lot of factors that come into play, the team itself and everything. But some of them, unfortunately, they got advice from somebody else, or they think they know better, like you say, and they try to play it by their rules because they have an objective or something. And, in the end, it's their project. And I cannot force them or tell them what to do, but I can assure you that we don't necessarily go with them in terms of the incubation of that project when we're not satisfied that our community will be happy with the end result. So that's what we do.
We've had a few projects that wanted to enter the market with a 2017 mentality where, we're going to raise 30 million and the market cap is going to be 100 million. And we're like, you need to connect with the market trend.
Okay. Are you Microsoft? Are you Google?
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Certain projects, very few, can get away with it. If you're partnered with Amazon, Facebook, Donald Trump, you can get away with it. But for a little ass project, you raising 30 million, entering the market, I don't know, at 100 million market cap, it's just going to dive. Your community is going to lose money. Then they're going to bleed a bit more. There's going to be a lot of FUD. Everything's going to go to shit. But some people, and there was a project that I've connected with an exceptional advisor, and it didn't hit them. They were like, yeah, but our VCs, they want a 6 months cliff, and we're going to enter this market cap. Okay. You will learn the hard way. There is a market trend, and you are completely disconnected as to what's happening in the market.
Right. Exactly. The only thing that can save those projects is if you're in the middle of a bull season, and like we said earlier, people have money coming out of their ears, and they're like, oh, whatever, I'll put 5,000 here, just for the fun of it. But in a market where we're not in the super bull season and people are still managing their money carefully, they're not getting $1 from me.
No chance. Right. Go just a few more questions. Were there times where you thought the tokenomics on a project were absolutely hideous, but because of the hype level or great partnerships, they got away with it and performed well anyway?
Well, ideas, I'm sorry, hideous, that's my French talking. It's stretching it a bit. I wouldn't be that word, but yes, I have invested in projects where I didn't believe in the metrics at all. I thought they were horrible, but I still invested because of the hype, because of the tech, especially,
Yeah.
because in the end, metrics are just part of what makes a project a success, right? It's a big part, but it's not the only part. And having bad metrics doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be bad on the price action. But what I tell myself though, imagine if that project had great metrics, where it would have been, you know.
Yeah, good
So
point.
that's the thing. So yes, I have, and but they're few and far between.
Yeah. So if you had great metrics rather than a 10x, you could have done a 100x, for example.
Easily, yes.
Now, what advice would you? Before we get to that, there was also one more question, and I think we've covered that. And the key to how much a project raises, and I think we've covered that, is how it's to raising the correct amount.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. I think this is the last question. What advice would you give to people who wish to start a project and are watching this now?
I think the first and foremost, don't try to be expert at everything in the project launch. There's a lot of things that you need to take into account. So get good advisors that have shown, have demonstrated their value in projects. That's very important. And get advisors that are in touch with today's market, not the market from 5 years ago. Okay, market is changing almost on a daily aspect. So you need to make sure that you have the proper people in place. That's the first thing. Second thing that's very important, I didn't talk about that a lot, but plan your revenue stream already. You don't want to rely on your pre-sale funds to manage your project for 2-3 years. That's not the point of pre-sales. Pre-sales is to bring your project to an MVP, to a minimum viable product. Make sure you have your revenue stream in place. What is going to bring revenue to your project? Is it going to be NFT commission sales? Is it going to be a fee, by example, an exchange, a fee on transaction? Is it going to be a product that you sell, a membership, whatever? What is going to bring revenue to your project? That it's important to plan it right off the get-go and to have it come in as early as possible. So that way you don't rely on token dumping to be able to pay your bills, because then you're killing your own project. You're killing your community. So that's a big thing. And the other thing, and one of the big things, and the last thing I'll say is protect your community. Protect your community with anti-bot system. Protect your community with proper communication, understanding, and so forth. A happy community, and you said it well, CJ. A happy community will lead to a happy project. So that's it.
I love. Pat, I think we've covered all angles. Is there anything else that you wish to mention in regards to tokenomics? I just wanted to say that perhaps simplicity is a good factor. So many times I've come across tokenomics that just unnecessarily overcomplicated. What do you think?
Yes, exactly. And you know, I found a lot of projects, they kind of hide their metrics, right? It's like it's complicated to get to them. It's like it's hidden, or they put it in a table that you can't really tell when the vesting is. It's like a curve like this. I hate that. Make it clear. Why aren't you transparent? What do you need to hide? Make it transparent. Make it clear for everybody. I buy in this round. That's what I get at this date, and that's it. Why does it need to be cryptic? Why do I need to study the metrics for 2 hours to understand when I'm getting my money or when I'm getting my tokens? So I think transparency is extremely important, and like you said, simplicity. You don't need to complicate things. Make it easy. Make it easily available for everybody.
Yeah, rather than having bits and pieces on 4 different pages, there should be a one page dedicated to tokenomics, nice and simple. There's no reason to have 4 different private rounds. I mean, come on.
And then you have people in the community saying, "Oh, no, it's that. No, it's that." Like, you don't even know anymore. You have an investor that wants to come in into this project, and you have a debate within the community on what the vesting is for what round. That's wrong. The person is going to walk away. He's going to say, you know what? I don't think there's clarity here. I don't want to involve my money with this. If it's clear, they ask for the metrics. Here's the one pager. They look at it. Okay, that's good.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Also, some projects try to play this, and once again, I don't want to name it, but at TGE, they were only releasing 5%, thinking that it would land them 100x because of the scarcity. And that flopped so bad. And because it flopped so bad, the community turned so evil on the project team. And as I was saying, guys, yeah, that was an epic fail. So whenever I see like 5% at TGE, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. For example, a project that I'm invested in recently was 25% at TGE, and then 25% over the next 3 months.
Yes.
I thought that was beautiful.
Yes, that's beautiful. Every project is different, CJ.
Yeah.
You can't just analyze it like that one per one.
One
Some
size
projects
fits all,
it's good. Yeah, it's not one size fit all. Metrics are customized per project. But if you believe in the project and the project is great, the vesting becomes important but secondary.
Yeah, and also another thing, and this is to the project owners, if you have a set sort of distribution, for example, daily vesting for over a year, don't just change the rules in the middle of the game saying, okay, you'll get the rest of the tokens in 1 year. That is absolutely unacceptable.
That is unacceptable. No, this wouldn't happen. Like over at Ferrum, we would that would not happen.
Yeah,
that would be really bad.
Right, Patrick, so much appreciated. I will share this video far and wide, and hopefully people will actually start paying attention to the numbers, going through the numbers, because at this moment in time, I believe even like YouTubers, even big time investors actually skip this essential part of a project. For example, I show a few people, I showed them a couple of projects, and they were like, yeah, I'm going to skip this one and I'll invest into this one. And I looked at the tokenomics. I was like, please explain this to me. It doesn't compute. So, yeah. Patrick, any last thoughts you?
No, well, I want to thank you for having me over. I love your shows, and I think that it's important in this in this world, in this scene, to educate and to show people what the real things are. And also, obviously, I want to shout some shouts to Naeem and Ian from Ferrum Network, the founders, which I think are fantastic. They're a great community, and everybody at Ferrum, we're really happy to be there, and we have a great community. So come on over if you want to ask me questions directly. You can come on over Ferrum, ask for Patrick, and they'll direct you to me for sure.
Ladies and gents, this is Patrick from Ferrum Advisory Services. If you need advice on tokenomics and more than just tokenomics, this is the guy. These are the guys that you go to, definitely. Other than that, Patrick, thank you very much. I'll publish this today and get the ball rolling. Thank you, and hopefully I'll have you back soon.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, CJ. See you soon, man.
Bye-bye.